She's a Mona Lisa. Everyone's lining up to see her. She's a Mona Lisa. Everyone's lining up to see her.
Hi everyone, it's Allison back with another video. This video is a little bit more, I don't want to say serious because it's not super serious, it's just kind of more of an advice video than what I normally do. It's going to be a lot less chaotic. I'm sorry if you don't like that, but I just feel like this might be helpful for some people who are either going into college and don't know what to expect, or even just for normal college students. This is just how I think that somebody, at least at my college, could save money, and I think it really generalizes well to a lot of different places. And with the recession happening, I just felt like it would be a good idea to share my tips on how you can save money during college. These are super easy, and I think that they work really well, and they may seem kind of small, but the thing about it is that a lot of these kind of build up over time. With that, I'm going to start off by saying that getting a work study or a campus job is a really good idea. A lot of times you'll be able to find something that you'll be able to actually get your schoolwork done while you're on the job, so you're kind of multitasking because you're making money, but at the same time you're not compromising your study time with work time. In college, there's this balance you have to keep in your life of social life, schoolwork, and sleep. Really, that's a really important one, and just self-care in general. Adding work to that and extracurriculars to that can sometimes be really overwhelming, but if you're able to find a job that allows you to do two things at once, that's really ideal. Some of the ones that I think are perfect for that are working in a library. A lot of times people are not going to be coming up to the desk to ask you where something is, so as long as you're available, you can just sit there and do your work. That's just one example. Another way you can make money really easily in college is volunteering at a psychology lab. A lot of different research programs, they need volunteers to come in and take tests so that they can prove whatever theory they have, and usually they pool from college students. What you can do is just check in with your psychology department and see if there are any tests that you can take for, I think usually it takes 30 minutes to an hour, and you can just go in, do this test, and get paid for it, and just have a little bit extra to spend that week. I just feel like a lot of people don't know that that's an opportunity, and there's plenty of psych studies, at least at my school. It might vary by department, but usually you'll be able to find something that pays a decent amount of money. The third tip that I have for you is to get a coffee maker. Get a coffee maker. Personally, I drink a lot of coffee. I have a coffee every single morning without fail, and usually I'll have 2 to 3 cups a day. I know that that's a problem. I know that I'm an addict. We don't need to go there. I just really enjoy coffee. I think that it's something that really puts me in the mind to study. I kind of have a routine that I do every single time that I go to study so that I can really focus on the task at hand, and my brain knows that this is a time that we're going to be working, because my brain, I get distracted very easily, and I feel like a lot of people can relate to that. So if you drink coffee, or even if you drink tea, I would recommend getting some kind of maker. It doesn't have to be fancy, although if it is, I guarantee that if you drink a lot of coffee, it will pay for itself. At least at my student union, the coffee is $4 to $5 a cup. You go and spend $4 to $5 3 or 4 times a week even, that's gonna add up. So I would just say that if you drink a lot of coffee or you drink a lot of tea, make it at home because it's so much cheaper. I would definitely check with your school's policy about electronic devices for heating things, because I know not all colleges allow the kettles that heat water to be used in the dorm. So just make sure that it's all good. My fourth tip, and listen carefully to this one, you really probably don't need a car at college. Depending on how the transportation system works at your school, there could be some where there is no public transportation and nobody walks and everyone has cars, and that's fine. If you're sure that you will need it, take it. But if the school is recommending that you don't bring a car your freshman year, I would recommend that you don't, because parking spots are extremely expensive. At my school, they're about $500 either per semester or per year. I don't know because I didn't bring my car, and nobody drives anywhere anyway. On campus, you have your on-campus bus system, and most people walk or ride bikes. And then off campus, people either Uber or they just take public transportation like the bus system. And most schools find some way to give their students compensated transportation, not just on campus, but off campus as well. If you have the car, you're gonna have to pay for maintenance, you're gonna have to pay for gas whenever you go places. I just think that it's much cheaper not to bring a car, and honestly, unless you're planning on going on road trips, you really just don't need it on campus, especially your freshman year. This tip is really important. Do not buy books until you absolutely have to. First of all, you don't even know you're going to be in the classes that you're going to be buying these books for if you buy them before classes start. Usually, at least at my school, we have a 2-week drop ad period, and you may get to the class and decide, this is not for me. I do not want to be here. I'm going to drop this class and find another one that's more suited to what I want for this semester, which is totally fine. Tons of people do that. A lot of people class shop at the beginning of the semester, where they kind of just go to different classes and see what might work best with their schedule and kind of look at the syllabus and the workload and see what they can handle and what they can't. So don't buy your books, especially before those 2 weeks are up, in case you drop the class, because then you're not going to need that book anymore. And then also, ask upperclassmen who have taken that class in the past, if you can, if you really need the textbook. Because a lot of my classes, I did not ever touch the textbook. A lot of professors distribute notes. A lot of classes are really lecture heavy. You don't want to buy a book that's going to be like $200. You can't even return for full price at the end of the year, even if the book is in perfect condition, because you don't even know if you're going to use the book. If you can't determine that by asking an upperclassman, wait to see if a PDF is being distributed by the class. Let me preface this by saying that a lot of these PDFs are illegal. So please, please, please check to make sure that you're not stealing content. That would be bad. I'm not condoning that in any way, but there are some legitimate PDFs that are distributed. So check for that. And then worst comes to worst, don't buy the textbooks from the bookstore. Buy them from a used book dealer or on Amazon. You can literally just search up the title of your book on Google and it will take you to a site where I guarantee you it will be cheaper than buying it new at the bookstore or even used at the bookstore. So that's my advice on that. The next thing that I would say is don't be afraid to share with people in your dorm hall or just like people you know in general. For my specific dorm, we had a group chat and people would put in the group chat all the time, like, does anyone have a hand vacuum that I can borrow? Does anyone have this item of clothing that I can borrow for this theme party? Almost always somebody would reply and said that they had that thing. There's 200 people in the dorm, of course somebody's gonna have it and be willing to give it to you. It's much better to borrow something and return it later when you're literally just gonna use it once than going out and buying an expensive hand vacuum or all the clothes that you need for every single theme party. It's gonna pile up because there are a lot of theme parties. I guarantee you're not gonna have clothes for all of them. So on that note, I would also say bring items from home that you think will be able to translate to a lot of themes. Some really common ones are neon, animal print, pajamas, a space theme, little pink cowboy hats. That's a really popular thing. That's like all I can think of. But you can look up common party themes and I'm sure you'll be able to find stuff that most people would say that you would need to bring. Oh, like butterfly clips in like 90s aesthetic. That's another one that's pretty big. The next thing I would say is to take advantage of your meal plan as much as possible. I am very guilty of not doing this because at least at my school we had buffet style eating and then we had chain restaurants. It's very tempting to go and spend your meal plan on those pop-up shops, but usually they're much more expensive and you get a lot less food for your dollar. If you have a swipe plan where you swipe and you can have all you can eat buffet, check to see how much that costs, because at my school it was almost $18 a swipe that you had to prepay for 2 swipes a day for the entire semester, Monday through Friday. So if you're not utilizing your swipes, you're wasting that money. Definitely if you have a cafeteria and you've already prepaid for those swipes, use them. I would also say, once again, I'm not condoning this, but at my school at least, a lot of people would take like Tupperware into the all-you-can-eat buffet and they would put food in the Tupperware and then sneak it out of the dining hall and save it for later. My school had a policy against that. but people did it anyway. I would check your school's policy. Maybe yours doesn't. I feel like most people probably would. You do you. I'm neither condoning nor condemning such an action, but just saying. I would also say get the smallest meal plan you can possibly get. I know a ton of upperclassmen who do not use all of their meal plan by the end of the semester or even by the end of the year, and they're left in this situation where they have to spend as much of their meal plan as possible in the last few weeks of school, and so they're literally asking friends to come out with them to a nice restaurant and spending tons and tons of their meal plan all at once because they have to get rid of it, otherwise it doesn't carry over to the next semester. So unless you're on some kind of financial plan that covers your meal plan, that's different. If you're paying full out for your meal plan, I would go with the cheapest one and the lowest one, because if you run out of meal points, if you run out of that meal plan, you can just spend your regular money. It's the same price, it's just not officially called the meal plan. It is nice to budget that out at the beginning of the year, but it might end up being cheaper to buy the smallest meal plan and then supplement if you have to, which I don't think most people would, because no one that I know who's on the smallest meal plan at my college has needed to supplement it. But it's much better to have to supplement whenever you run out of your meal plan than buying a meal plan that's way too big, spending a ton of money on it, and then wasting all of that at the end of the semester when you can't spend all of that money on food. On that note, you should also ask your upperclassmen friends to bring you out to lunch or dinner or breakfast or whatever, because usually, especially at the end of the semester, they will have extra money on their meal plan that they have to spend by the end of the semester, and they can't do it by themselves, so they'll happily take you out. So it's a little tip there. This one is pretty big, and I didn't really know about this before I actually got to college. A lot of places and a lot of retail services have student discounts. They don't always advertise it, so if you're at a restaurant or a clothing store or a movie theater, ask to have the student discount. The worst they can say is, we don't have a student discount, and you can move on. There's this one movie theater that's really, really cool. It's very old. That's by my school, and they offer a student discount that's 50% off. Not all of them are gonna be as good as that, but you'll definitely be able to find those discounts at a lot of places. You may not even have known that they were there before, but it never hurts to ask. So my final tip would be to apply to be an RA. So not only are you gonna be working for the school, and it also looks great on a resume because it's a leadership opportunity and you are sort of serving as a mentor to these younger students, but you also get free housing. And housing is one of the biggest expenses at college. I'm sure that most of you know that. At my school, they also pay for the RA's meal plan, so you eat for free, you live for free, and all you have to do is watch these students, which looks good on a resume anyway. So I would say that that's probably a very good idea for somebody who wants to save money during college. I will say that a lot of RA positions are quite competitive, so I wouldn't rely on the fact that you're going to be able to get one, but if you think that you're a competitive applicant, I would definitely apply. And even if you don't, I would apply, because you never know what could happen. The person who's making the decisions may really like you for whatever reason, so I would say apply to be an RA. One last thing about housing: if your school does not require you to live on campus, I would at least look at the housing options off campus, because sometimes, yes, they can be much more expensive, especially if you're getting like an apartment and it's just you and there's no one else that you're going to be living with and you're renting it all by yourself. Obviously that's going to be more expensive than a college dorm. However, I know a lot of people who share houses, like they buy or rent one house and then a ton of people live in it, and in that case it actually can be cheaper than living on campus. So I would just say explore your options with that and really make sure that it's the best deal that you can get. Okay, well, with that is all of my advice on how you can save money in college. There's plenty of other ways, but those were just the things that came to me at first. Some of them are more easy than others, but I definitely think that it might be able to help some people who are wondering about that, especially if you are a freshman or an incoming freshman. With that, I hope that y'all have a good day. Stay safe. I've linked more resources for Black Lives Matter in the description box. I did kind of debate posting this video today, but I thought this information might be helpful to some people, and that's why I decided to post. I did want to say that I do support the Black Lives Matter movement on this channel. I'm obviously not perfect. I do not pretend to be the best ally around at all by any stretch of the word. I'm actually a relatively new ally, but I am trying, and I'm donating, signing petitions, and attempting to educate myself. I would recommend that you guys do the same. And yeah, I will see you next week, hopefully on Monday. So bye.
Mona Lisa. Everyone's lining up to see her. There must be something that